Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man that's going to record this episode backwards. It's Norbert Morvan.
Maybe you should stop being pregnant, Hoffmeyer.
That guy is just sitting in their bedroom, laying on the bed, on his phone, watching MMA in a closed bedroom door.
That guy's a savage. There are very few movies that just signal this is the guy you should hate.
Yes.
Better than this movie.
But you know what I love? I mean, it's all on purpose. Like, everything in this
Yeah.
movie is just meant to do that. And it's just so soapy and melodramatic. The initial scenes with Madison that just make me so happy. And like, you're just absolute loser husband. Oh, man. So this is the third time covering this on Movies, Films, and Flicks, Norbert. We've been working our way through the list. I absolutely adore this movie, but you kind of dropped a bombshell on me just before we started. Like,
Yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. The first time you watch this movie, you're into it, and the twist, the reveal. Good God, when you see on that VHS tape, oh, actually, Gabriel is a teratoma. I'm just like, okay, that was nasty. That was one of the nastiest things I have ever seen, and I've been watching horror movies forever, and that just hits hard. And then the second. James Wan is a solid horror director. There's no question of it. And the question you posited to me is James Wan the most important horror director / producer of the 21st century? By default, the answer is yes. And the reason is quantity, not necessarily quality.
I love his stuff. Like, what?
I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you, dude. I have all the Friday the 13th movies, so I can't say that I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm some tastemaker for film. I watch trash all the time. Saw, that movie, I can watch that repeatedly. The very first one, again and again and again, because it's taut, it's short.
Game over.
It is claustrophobic, and when that man stands up in that room, there is not a person on this earth that has been watching that movie that just doesn't go, what in the what? That dude's alive. That still hits you.
They made that movie for $1 too, which
it looks like
yeah.
It looks like it. And those are the greatest horror movies, man. The ones that don't look so clean and polished, and you can't tell that there's CGI, and it's not CGI blood, it's chocolate syrup. You know what I mean? We need the visceral touches to make movies a little bit more hardcore. Later on in the movie, when Gabriel just turns into Trinity from The Matrix and just goes through an entire police station worth of humans, it looks great, but then you see, oh, that's a CGI hand coming through. We're missing a couple of little touches. Basically, Juan, he has become workmanlike as he's gotten more budget. You know, it's the same thing happened to Romero. You know, the first couple of Night of the Living Deads, they hit hard. And then you get into Land of the Dead and it's kind of, okay, I get it. Yeah, right. Humans are bad. We got it now. We got it. But it's still great, you know. Man, and so that's how I feel about this one.
Man, that's nuts because let's work our way through his career real quick, because
go for it.
You know, he started off with Saw, and that movie made $103 million worldwide in 2004. Yeah. You know, he and Lee Wanell, who's crushing it now with Upgrade and The Invisible Man. I mean, these guys are big.
Upgrade is amazing. Invisible Man, so many levels. Invisible Man hits on a lot of different levels.
Man. Upgrade, geez Louise. Yeah, they're both wonderful films. And like, I think they just came out of nowhere and just blew up. I mean, they made the movie for $1.50. They got really dedicated performances, killer ending. Lisa Leahy, who is on this show, we just recorded an episode about Mother. She watched it back to back because of that game over ending. Like, she just went and bought a ticket and went, she was like, put me in the next one. And so that hit hard. And then, you know, he kind of followed that up with Dead Silence and Death Sentence, which I think Dead Silence, there's a lot of fun to be had there. I mean, it's like the cop, the hard-beating cop, played by Donnie Walker, and like just the jump scares, and just he's always shaving, and it's just such a ridiculous movie. Yes. But there's the DNA, I think, of what's to come later. You know, Death Sentence, I think, was a miss. That's a grimy movie if you watch that one, man. Kevin, oh geez. But then I have a theory, Norbert, that in 2011, Paranormal Activity hit in 2008, 2009, but I don't think it was until Insidious in 2011, $1 million budget, Patrick Wilson, Lynn Shay, Rose Byrne, objectively good actors and
Yes.
pretty big stars. And,
Mm-hmm.
you introduce the Further, the Red Lipstick Demon. That movie went and made $99 million at the worldwide box office. And
Ridiculous.
And then that followed up shortly after with like Ethan Hawke, I think, was like, oh, hey. So then he's in Sinister next. And then you get
Sinister.
And then you get all these movies. Then you get The Witch. Then you get Out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get this. Then you get that. Then you get Hereditary. And I pay attention to a lot of horror. Like for Rotten Tomatoes, I've written the best horror year ever. I've paid attention to horror trends. I've analyzed every horror movie. And every time I look at it, you got Paranormal Activity, but I think Insidious and James Wan with that $1 million. And also, they left the house in Insidious. They're like,
yes,
we're haunted. Peace, deuces. And then they're
smart.
like, yeah, exactly. Right. And like,
not like Poltergeist. It took them a while.
And they're so smart though, because then you like the characters. You're like, yo, they got out fast. And then he followed that up right with, and 2 years later, The Conjuring, $317 million worldwide. I mean, we're talking that movie was rated R because it's scary. There's not swear words. There's no nudity. It just punches you in your face. Then he's like, you know what? I'm going to come back and make Insidious Chapter 2, which to me, I left the theater, Norbert. I was so stressed out after Insidious Chapter 2. I was shook. I watch everything, Norbert. And like, you and I watch a bunch of horror movies, and I never got shook. That movie's like a roller coaster of dread. $161 million. Then he's like, you know what? I'm going to do Furious 7. That makes $1.5 billion. He's like, you know what?
Course.
I'm going to slum it for a little bit, do Conjuring 2. $310 million. Then he goes,
and that wasn't bad.
No, it was good. Then he's like, you know what? I'm going to go make Aquaman. I'm going to make underwater catapults. I'm going to put Dolph Lundgren on a seahorse. I don't care. I'm going to do a Pitbull cover of Africa. I don't care. Whatever. Let's do it. 1.1 billion. And so he's just had this unbelievable streak. I mean, he hasn't had a loss since 2011. So he had this 10-year span of just beast moding it. And he got $40 million for Malignant. And I know exactly what you're saying about losing his touch and the CGI blood. But for me, this movie's less about the blood and the chaos because I was laughing through the entire action scenes. The chair throw. I'm like,
the hammer throw of the chair. That is what put this on both of our radar because the targeting, the precision.
It's two moving targets, but like
with a massive chair. Beautiful.
Like I've been researching this movie today to say something new for a third episode, not just me repeating myself. But what I love is this is his. I guess I know what you're saying about kind of losing his touch, but for me, this movie takes a big swing. Like he's not Gus Van Sant making Good Will Hunting 2 hunting season and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back counting the money. Like this guy, he brought in the spider cam in Madison's home, the fight scenes. He hired professionals to walk backwards. The practical, they made practical costumes. So I'm reading about it here. They made let's see, they called it a genre bender, but they said that they wanted to like inspire it from like camp movies, but also Giallo or Giallo movies. But like they did a full body coat with gold zippers. Like they didn't want to make it look good. They made it old, decrepit, and falling, but they made it backwards. And like they like made 11 different coats for all the different stunt people. And then the creature effects, by spectral motion, they put the monster on the back of her head. So
you can see, sometimes it absolutely does look like a puppet, and those are the creepy moments. The initial reveal where you see it, that's the puppet moving around, and that is just, I was just okay. I need to puke for a moment. That was the worst, bro. The worst.
And just the beginning at how camp it is. Like we gotta cut out the cancer. The lady from Deep Blue Sea, by the way, and just the whole movie. I think my favorite scene that some people make fun of. And I was reading this really cool article on Vulture about the movie and how the line goes, but the adopted scene. So you have Madison talking to Maddie Hassan, who Sidney Lake's an all-timer horror sibling. I just want to let you know that. Like she's ride or die.
She was just, I'm not going to leave you behind ever, ever.
All-timer. And just there's a scene where she tells Sidney that she's adopted. But they cut in with the Pixies theme song, Pixies cover, ding, and like from Fight Club, and then it's just the way they build it. So I was reading this in Vulture, but like the way they build it, you think it's gonna be Luke, I'm your father, or
Right.
or the killer's gonna drop out and she's not gonna be able to say it. And then she goes, Sydney,
Right.
I'm adopted. Then the camera zooms in on her and the score kicks in. Like there's a
Blah,
sense of
blah, blah.
like,
Exactly.
there's such a sense of humor to this movie. There's such like
Yes.
and I was reading reviews where people were like, this movie's humorless. I'm like, what? Like what?
No,
movie?
there's a lot of
Yeah.
listen, the strain of humor that runs through the movie is dark, you know. It's not pratfalls and ironic humor. What's the deal with teratomas? I mean, no, it's not that. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's darkness here. It's all in my head. It's all in my head. She keeps saying that. And then you watch the movie and actually it was all in your head. Literally.
Yeah, it is.
Mwah-ha.
The second
What
time.
are the odds? But you know from decades of watching horror movies for your whole life, once I'm adopted, bah, bah, bah. Okay, so you remember she's adopted. You've watched a ton of movies, adopted children / children in general, horror movie, bad time. Difficult pregnancy, adoption. You get the Omen, check. The Antichrist, he was adopted. He was son of a jackal. Rosemary's Baby. They're trying to make the Antichrist. She's trying to have a baby. It's hard. But they want her to have the Antichrist. The movie Orphan, 33-year-old, spoiler alert, actually a kid. Annabelle Creation, just the worst orphanage ever.
Yeah.
And it has a creepy doll. And then there's the movie The Orphanage, where there's just an orphanage full of kids. So once she drops that, you know, okay, the bomb, something is really wrong with this chick. Something's really wrong. Yeah. And again, I don't dislike this movie. I like it. It just didn't hit as hard the first time. And, you know.
I think Malignant, you're right. If you're able to invest everything in it, when she turns and kills all those people in the prison cell, the chair throw, when Natty Hassan goes and parks her car next to a cliff, goes inside a mental institution or a psychiatric facility, you're like, she's dead. And the next scene, she's watching tapes back at her house. So the first time you watch it, you're like, oh my gosh. So I guess the surprises hit so hard and the subversion hit so hard that you're never going to get that again. That's why movies like Spaceballs, A Knight's Tale, those are the most rewatchable movies because there's no Super Troopers, there's no twists and turns. It's just
none.
It's just a movie. Put this movie on. So I can see how secondary viewings of this film don't hit quite as hard.
Still great. Yeah, still great.
But I just sit here and I watch this thing and it just makes me. I know it's an insane movie of the last year I've had. This is a movie dealing with babies not being born. It deals with cancer. It's nuts. But
dark things.
I think it works though because you feel Juan is just so tongue in cheek. It's just so when when he zooms in on the sister, I'm adopted, and just Krakoa Shaw, and also that chase scene with Krakoa Shaw. What do you think about that? Because in every other movie, he's dead, correct? He's Bill Paxton from Predators too.
Yeah. He's easily Sean Bean in every other movie. That cop. This is because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a cop just for the 20 years and out in the pension and the ability to potentially shoot people and get away with it. No, he wants to do justice, man. He's a good guy. This guy has to die.
Yeah.
He has. But man, let me tell you something. You're dealing with Gabriel, who took somebody's award and sharpened it into a deadly blade. All right. And when Gabriel's ready to leave, okay, I'm not going to win this fight. Cool. I'm just going to parkour down a fire escape backwards. That's when you start to notice the backwards movement. And so you've been conditioned because of the J horror and the Hollywood, shall we say, reproduction of J horror. You've been conditioned to, when you see somebody with long hair walking in a creepy way, okay, that's a ghost. So as you're watching this movie, you're thinking, Gabriel's a ghost. This is crazy. None of this is, what? Gabriel can't be real, but Gabriel's solid. You know, Gabriel is just good with Batman levels of counter and pro counter and all of these moves. Gabriel starts to go down that fire escape and you notice, wait, that was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
The way that is Gabriel biter walking? What is happening here? And so, yeah, this is where we are with this, trying to figure out what's going on with Gabriel. All of those little things that you're mentioning in the beginning, some of the stuff doesn't make sense. The cold open in the beginning. What? Gabriel? It seems that Gabriel drinks electricity and broadcasts his thoughts through the radio.
Yes,
What?
Yes.
Gabriel's an X-Man?
Yeah.
Gabriel is Cypher from the New Mutants? What is happening here? And I do also love the branding of the mental hospital. The mental hospital looks like Castle Wolfenstein. Shoot her! Shoot Gabriel! Shoot her! The case that they pull out this massive trank gun, it's got the mental hospital's name and logo on it. Because you need that type of branding when you're dealing with the mentally ill. Sure, what kind of font are we going to use? Well, sans serif's been done. Let's go maybe military block. Anyway, that's just me. I'm a weird guy.
And that guy gets his arm broken, and the camera just zooms in on him while he screams, looking at his arm.
There it is. And then when we finally find out that Gabriel not only exists, but Gabriel is a teratoma, don't go down that rabbit hole, folks, on Google, looking up teratomas, because, man, sometimes they look like your favorite food. I'll just put it like that. And a teratoma is a tumor with teeth and hair that just pops up. The first time I ever heard of teratoma, I was watching this show. It was called Lucy, Daughter of the Devil. And the devil had a teratoma. It was under his arm, and he gets it excised, and it comes to life, and he just names it Terry, and that's his best friend. And it absolutely had one tooth sticking out and some hair. And then we get this teratoma, who's just not only evil, but drinks the souls of the living, like Freddy in part 4 and 5.
Gabriel is just, I like that Gabriel's just evil.
Period.
Yeah, there's no, and it's kind of refreshing too, because in some of these movies, like, I was born on the back of you, and then these people did this, they tried to kill me, and you're like, these maybe you're thinking that these doctors were evil, and that they're lying.
They're coded that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it just turns out that they were legitimately trying to get rid of a wildly dangerous mutant who could join the evil X-Men. And it's
straight up.
And just watching those tapes and seeing that thing going crazy, and then going back to that chase scene with Krakoa Shaw, when he goes down the fire escape and then just lands on the trash, like, that's one of the greatest thuds I've ever seen in my life. Just and oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. He plays Super Cop and goes into the darkest hole to try to fight this hand-to-hand combat with someone who's clearly his better. He's a real American hero, Krakoa.
And just watching him watching him survive. I was like, this guy's dead. They're falling in, like, it's really interesting that Norbert, like, listen, I like when tropes are subverted, but sometimes I don't mind if tropes and cliches just happen on screen. But I feel like I'm so conditioned. Like, I just want to say, just because a movie subverts something doesn't mean it's good. You can subvert something and that can be an ill-planned idea. But this movie keeps subverting trends. But I feel like I'm so conditioned by horror to, like, in Saw, someone goes into a parking garage, they're caught. Like, it's you like, watch these movies and there's a trap, or they're dead, or every cop is like, so in my head I'm like, oh, the sister's dead, oh, he's dead, oh, they're dead, and then that never happened. None of it ever happened. And I think that's why the first like viewing is so fun, because you almost can't settle while watching it.
Right.
You're like, wait. Like, you kind of have to, like, reframe things in your brain because you're so used to, like, this is like watching a soccer game, and all of a sudden Ronaldo picks up the soccer ball and just runs and dunks it on the side of the, you're like, wait, and then he gets a point, and you're like,
wait, what?
Is this the rule now?
We're doing this now?
Yeah, like, you're gonna have to, like, really, like, rewire your brain, and I felt like Malignant did that to me, and I just think Juan has been doing that for so long. I mean, you watch Aquaman. I had to do a thing about Aquaman, about how Aquaman calls forth endangered animals to fight. During that final fight, he calls forth endangered animals to fight when he has a kraken the size of, he has the entire, like, all those monsters with him, and he has a kraken. He could destroy everything by himself, but he makes whales fight. Like, he's like, hey, endangered whales, come battle with me. Like, but
he's selfish.
There's octopuses playing drums. There's underwater catapults. There's angry crabs. There's just the weirdest movie. You could, like, just Patrick Wilson having mommy issues.
Right.
It's so odd. But
the, like, zombies from the trench.
Oh man.
Even put some zombies in there.
It becomes a horror movie. And you watch Furious 7, they jump from one building to another building. Dwayne Johnson drives off a building with an ambulance, perfectly timed to land on a drone. Vin
Why
Diesel
not?
kicks. A car park has been damaged. A parking garage has been damaged. Vin Diesel kicks on it and it falls. Like it's
Sure.
James Wan has just been. I think he's just been having fun in cinema since he kicked off in 2003. And like we talk about being important. Like as a producer, man. Like The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. He didn't direct it. It made 200 million. Annabelle Comes
Right.
Home, 230 million. The Curse of
Right.
La Llorona, 130. The Nun, 363. Insidious: The Last Key, 172. Annabelle Creation, 305. Lights Out, 148. The Conjuring 2, 310. Insidious Chapter 3 made 120. Annabelle made 256 million. Also, Annabelle Wallace, who was in Malignant, was in Annabelle. But it's
Right.
this dude's just like I just feel like he's a brand, but like
At this point, yeah.
but I feel like he's one of the most underappreciated brands. Like when you go to watch The Nun, I bet you a lot of people aren't like, I'm gonna go watch that James Wan produced movie. They're like,
No,
oh,
not at all.
I'm
No.
gonna go watch a new Conjuring movie. So
Exactly.
I just think he has such a, I don't know, man. I just love his style. And like the later Insidious Chapter 3 and 4, those movies star Lynn Shay. She's in her
Yeah.
late 70s, and these movies are
Yeah.
making 120 million with her as the star. Like
It's to his credit. No, it's absolutely to his credit that he has become the Steven Spielberg presents of horror. He's having the career that a lot of people thought that Shyamalan was going to have, where he just has the unbroken streak of just nonstop. You had the one poop of dead silence. You said death sentence?
Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon and your boy Charlie Hunnam.
There you go. You get that one turd there. But he's had just an unbroken streak, and he now has his own Scrooge McDuck-style money bin somewhere in Catalina that he just swims through. And he definitely started out with just, again, Saw is iconic. The first, I'm going to keep saying the first one, because the first one, nobody saw that coming. And then the rest of them, it's just, oh, we're just going to throw you into a swimming pool full of syringes. Good luck. Come on, man. That was a lot. That was a lot. It goes from scary to, okay, now we're just harming people.
Yeah.
You know?
Stick your wrist into this glass box and
Right.
die,
And
die.
It took a Nightmare on Elm Street, maybe one or two movies before they're, okay, now let's just torture people for fun. You know, but they got there real quick and saw.
Second film done.
Yeah.
And people talk about Saw being torture porn, but you got to watch Saw again. It's not torture porn because a lot of the deaths, like remember they find a lot of the people dead already. They show some flashbacks. Right. You have the sawing of the foot, but it's much more psychological, almost like a morality.
It's unsettling, and there's the morality, right?
And like I just think James Wan. This is gonna sound bad, but like I think you got to talk about Hitchcock first. He could play in a lot of different sandboxes, but then you move into John Carpenter, who, for my money, I think might be the greatest horror director because of Halloween, because of The Thing, Prince of Darkness. I mean, this is a guy who's had one of the craziest runs ever. He could kind of change up his horror a little bit. Wes Craven made some bangers, but you always had that Wes Craven feel, but he also did Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street. But like, I think James Wan, unlike maybe M. Night Shyamalan, who's finally embraced, listen to our old episode, by the way, like who he is, but I think Wan can bounce in and out of different, he has different sandboxes he can play in. Like Saw was so different from Insidious, which was different from The Conjuring, which is way different from Malignant.
It's not the same movie. That's correct. Yeah, it's not the same movie. He's not just repeating himself over and over and, oh, the twist. No, it's not that.
Do you think, I don't know, this is going to sound very reductive, but just go with me here. Like you watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie, right?
Yeah. You're waiting for the twist to come up.
You watch a Wes Anderson movie, With James Wan, I think if you put on Conjuring, you probably wouldn't know. I think he's not a super auteurish director like a Kubrick. Like he doesn't have certain, I mean, his movies are basically like fun houses, but he doesn't have that auteurish vibe. But I think that's what leads him to having such a long career, because he's not stuck with a gimmick.
He doesn't have the Spike Lee dolly shot as his
exactly.
Thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, he's a vibe. He's a vibe, and he brings a darkness and a bit of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because those are so general, you can just Control C, Control V that onto anything, and it always makes something look different. I will never say that his movies look or feel the same. You do know that when you walk into a James Wan movie, if it's a horror movie, it's going to be brutal. If it's an action movie, you're going to get something that looks cool for
Mm-hmm.
sure, but it's not going to be the Zack Snyder, this movie's 3 hours because 2 hours and 40 minutes of it are in slow motion.
Leonard
So
Cohen
it's
songs.
taking a long time. Right, right,
Yeah.
right. No, I'll never say that Juan is a bad director. I'm just saying that as the money has increased, a little bit of the joy, just a tiny bit of the joy has been taken away. And that's okay because you got your success, you know? You did it the hard way. You made your Night of the Living Dead for 250,000 and now they opened the vault to you. And oh, that's success, bro. That's meritocracy. So that's what it is.
You
I
get
do
40
have
million to make Malignant.
I have a question for you, man. When Kakoa is looking for one of the doctors, he just types his name into the online search engine, quote unquote, and the dude's address just pops up. Address, phone number, date of birth, all. Have you checked your Google? Please make sure that you're not just on full blast like that, man.
Yeah, I need to look that up. Yeah.
Because that seems to be extremely uncool at this point in time. That you can just, oh, Norbert Morvan, 120 dash, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and Norbert also eats cheese all day. And sometimes Norbert likes to dance the Macarena in his underwear. It's just there.
He's currently right behind you. And you're like,
No,
"Oh,
what are the chances?
yeah, no, yeah, all right, I'm gonna look that up. But I also too love Kakoa Shaw, like his dealing with Bosco. He's like, I thought I was the only handsome guy in here, and then
Yo.
and then I don't know if you know this, but in the cast, Ingrid Bisu, she plays CST Winnie, the one who's always hitting on Kakoa Shaw. That's James Wan's.
That's James Wan's wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right. That's good. Good call. And she was also his inspiration for this movie. He says that he kind of wanted it to be a little type of feminist thing, but it didn't really come out that way, but it is. He says, conceptually, my wife Ingrid brought it to me. She's really fascinated by medical abnormalities. That sounds like a keeper.
Mm-hmm.
And she brought me this evil twin idea. We think of the evil twin thing and we think of it as a joke. It's more of a cliche joke that we make fun of. Oh, it's my evil twin. And then boom, there it is. Ingrid has a really sort of feminist bone to her. And so the idea of women having control taken away from them, it comes from her. And she's constantly fighting to get her body back from Gabriel. You know, at the end, we initially had this scene. I thought it was a bit too on the nose. Madison fights to get her body back.
So on the
And she
nose.
says, my body. It's my body. It's my body. That's how we feel collectively, he says. That was very important for Ingrid. You can have all these crazy, horrific things in it. At the end of the day, it's a story about a woman and her evil brother trying to take control away from her. She has to wrangle and fight to get it back, you see? And so at the end of the movie, you get that classic line, I know you're in there. You can fight it. It's me. You can fight it. That's a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Hoffmeyer, I know you've been turned into an evil dude, but it's me, Norbert. It's Norbert. You remember when we used to hang out in Cheongju and drink makgeolli? Remember when we played Nintendo Wii? Don't dab me through the face with an award turned into a dagger. Please, God, remember.
Yeah. And I love that you said it's on the nose. I mean, this is a movie where this is a line of dialogue. Madison, he killed your babies. He was the cause of your miscarriages. He was feeding off of your fetuses to build himself back up. Like this.
That was dark. Yeah.
That
was dark.
People say this dialogue and they do it well. Like that's what I love about Malignant. Like you said, I want my power back. There's no metaphors, right? There's no like, you know, like the kind of sunken place. What does it represent? Like this movie straight up says to you,
this is what we want.
Yeah.
The message is this.
Yeah, but I love that too because it's so campy. Like it's so straightforward. And I love that you read that about Ingrid Bisu too. And like her acting career beforehand was pretty cool. Like she turned in some roles. And also, you know, I was reading about the co-writer Akela Cooper, and she wrote for The 100. Like she was a story editor and she became a producer on it. She wrote for American Horror Story. She wrote for Luke Cage. And then also she writes for Strange New Worlds. She also wrote for Grimm and Tron Uprising. But you know, she also wrote the screenplay for Hellfest, which is a really interesting horror film, Norbert. I don't know if you've seen it because
Hellfest.
Yeah, there's quite a like groundswell of support for it. It's a mass serial killer turns a horror-themed amusement park into his own personal playground, terrorizing a group of friends, with the rest of the patrons believe that's all part of the show. Like you have Ingrid Bisu who's pushing for this really, you know, like a female-centric, not it's on the nose, but it's not totally on the nose. Like feminism angle. You have Akela Cooper
Right.
who is experienced with horror. She loves the genre. You have James Wan who, I mean, I have a question, Norbert.
I have an answer.
Could another director have made this look this good for $40 million?
Listen, that spider cam, that's one of the scariest things I've ever seen, and nothing happens. She's just running with this overhead view. And I was just like, oh my God, she's about to be murdered or something. Yeah.
Okay.
No, there's very few people that can squeeze every dime out of it. You know, James Cameron comes to mind because he grew up in the Roger Corman. Right, where they were just making movies for $1.15. But these movies are awesome. You know, he's poisoning people on the set of Aliens with the AB smoke.
Oh.
But decades later, that's one of the scariest action movies ever in Aliens. Yeah, so it does take a certain eye. It takes a talent and a flair to do what he's done with this.
And just that spider cam. And also, I was reading about the production design of this film. And if you look in Madison's house, they said the repetition of the pendulous sconces was a nod to horror halls of past films like Repulsion or Night of the Living Dead. So they wanted to kind of pay homage to the Italian cinema and classic Romero. And also, too, when they said that a lot of the homes, in her home, she has a gigantic house, by the way. I don't know how they pay for it. But there's paintings
Seattle.
Oh, yeah, I guess out like on the outskirts, I guess. Nice little house.
Yeah.
But she has a painting of fruit and floral patterns are all over the house. But when you look at other things in her house, there's a lot of like things dying or a lot of decay or old. So they purposely put floral patterns in the house. She has flowers in her room that are dead, alive flowers that are dead. But on her walls, there's flowers. On her paintings, there's ripe fruit. So they put in an insane amount of work to make tiny things like that look good. And
it's a contrast. It's the contrast of she wants to live. She's super cheerful and happy. She walks into that room where her husband is just watching MMA lazily. And, oh, yeah, you know, I just did the second, third shift, and I'm pregnant. But you know, always look on the bright side of life. I've had several miscarriages, but this one's going to work, you know. And so she wants that joy, you know. But the reality is her husband is also a parasite.
Yeah.
Gabriel, he's also a parasite. Maybe it's his electrokinesis that's killing all the plants in the house because you remember he draws life out of things in order to make himself stronger, you know? So that could be why they did that. That's another good thing that you picked up there.
Has he been doing that to the husband?
Maybe not to the husband, because the husband, he probably saw the husband and said, no, I don't need this guy's energy. He's rooting against Anderson Silva, and he pays for YouTube Red so he can watch Jake Paul. I don't like that.
He's got that bad energy.
I like energy, but not that energy, bro.
Yeah, get me away from this guy. Let's go on a trip.
Here's the real question for you, though, man. How many traumatic head wounds do you need before you actually go to a doctor, my man?
Oh, gosh.
Because the husband smashes her head against the wall so hard he breaks the wall. Okay? Her head is bleeding. And then she passes out. And then the husband is murdered. She wakes up in the hospital. Her head trauma is never addressed throughout this entire movie. The system lets her down, bro. She never even takes an aspirin for what has to be splitting headache.
Yeah, don't.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's a creature inside of you, and your head hurts, and it's just, oh, I wonder what my sister's doing. That's the thing that hit me the second time I was watching this movie. How do we not pay more attention to the fact that your head has an open wound that is constantly bleeding? And then the cops just deride her. Yeah, apparently, you know, husband's been wailing on her. Oh, well. They didn't help her either.
No.
You know? And so when Kakoa comes up, the doctor said she's had 3 miscarriages in 3 years. I was thinking, oh, that's a HIPAA violation. How the hell does he know? But apparently, public interest and benefit activities. The privacy rule permits use and disclosure of these things if you're a victim of abuse or neglect or domestic violence. So the fact that the cop knew means he's got a history of getting the crap beat out of her by her husband. And it's just, he's watching MMA. He's a good guy. He doesn't even have a beer in his hand when he's watching TV. What the hell? This poor girl.
Yeah, she's just lived a horrifying life. She was
horrifying.
And I guess it says something about the character that she hasn't folded yet.
She's such a good person. When we get the VHS exposition when they just do the massive exposition dump with it cutting between the VHS of her as a kid, just having the imaginary friend. That's another horror trope. Imaginary friend is actually someone evil that exists.
Yeah.
Give your mom a piece of cake. Okay, stab your mom in the belly. Stab her in the belly. Talking on the phone. She said, Gabriel says you're not actually my family. And Gabriel says one day he's going to burn the house down and dance in the flames. And they're just like, okay, really good, Emily. Yeah,
Have an ice cream sandwich.
Let's have a sandwich, Emily. Wonderful. Everybody, Gabriel's been, like we said, Gabriel's been evil the whole time.
Yeah.
And this is his revenge fantasy that he's doing. He's getting revenge on everybody. He's always been a bastard, but now he's just, okay, I've drained the life out of her children, her unborn children. I've drained the life out of all the plants in her house, according to Hoffmeyer. And now I'm just going to stab people in the face.
Literally, with the trophy. That's in the first shot of the movie. You have a good yin and yang too. I mean, she's kind of, you can't take away how nice she is, and then you have just Gabriel, who is,
It's just the worst. He's always been the worst.
Just evil.
Always been the worst.
And but I also think too, where the first time I watched this movie, I liked Krakoa Shaw. Like, I thought they were pretty cool. But I wasn't quite into them yet. But and then the other officer, I'm finding her name right now. I should have it written.
Sassy trope. She's the sassy trope, bro.
Was it Regina and Krakoa?
Every time somebody is trying to give exposition, we get in just police incompetence. So we're gonna knock on every door now. So I'm gonna put a bolo out on Sloth from the Goonies. She's not a psychic, god damn it. Wait, are you saying that the killer's your imaginary friend? You got the murder weapon, the coat, the gloves, and Jeffrey Dahmer's workshop in your attic? I was like, wow, really? She just keeps dropping. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm a cop. Whatever.
And that lead me to, I do like when Sydney says, this is completely off the topic, and I'll get back on the topic, but I love when Sydney goes, I played a psychiatrist in a TV show once. You remember what she said?
Yes. No, that was hilarious.
Oh, man. But like Regina, though, just when she starts going to war with Gabriel, like, I like their fights. And
she holds her own.
She's a beast. And when I started watching this the second time, like, I noticed Krakoa had a lot more personality. I noticed that like, the performance is actually pretty good. But I think these two, Regina and Krakoa, are very much playing a trope in horror.
Oh yeah.
Where you have the investigation and the cops who don't believe.
Right.
But then it's different enough to create that. But I like their little lived-in dynamics where.
I told you from day one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had to get that out.
Krakoa Shaw has a coffee pot on his desk. Like, when Regina's leaving late, he's like, "Yeah, you tell your partner I'm sorry for you being late." Like, they have tiny little moments that make you like them. And I mean, they definitely follow the cop handbook. But I mean, when that battle broke out, just watching them fight, and like the fact that he doesn't die, the fact that like, I don't know,
that was also another trope that they subverted, because you figure, okay, there's 15 minutes left in the movie, everybody's going to die except for her. And no, she takes a grievous stomach wound. She just basically gets gut shot. But no, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm the one holding Krakoa up.
Yeah.
When we get domed by this chair from across the room.
Oh man. Yeah, she lives. Like, I was like, she's dead right here. But no, she lives.
Regina's a champ. She's a champ.
It's a movie that, I think this is only a movie that gets made, and we've talked about this before, where I think The Happening only gets made because of where M. Night Shyamalan was in his career. I think when I think John Carter got made because of the power of what John Lasseter at the time from Pixar. I mean, Pixar owned everything at the time. They were on the massive run, so they just gave a blank check to make John Carter of Mars.
Yikes.
And I think this movie here's $40 million. Go make an R-rated campy movie that is insane. It's not an original IP. No, it's not. I'm sorry. It's an original IP. It's not a sequel. It's not a reboot. It's not a remake. Mm-hmm. It's about a lady with a demon, like her brother in the back of her head, walking backwards and throwing chairs. Like, so that's why. But I do think this movie could have been really bad because he got a blank check. And I think sometimes you get The Happening. You get movies where there's no checks or balances. But what I like about Juan is he was given $40 million, but you can tell he collaborated with Annabelle Wallis. You can tell he collaborated with Ingrid Bisu. You could tell he collaborated with Akela Cooper. Like he didn't The Happening this. Like he got a blank check, but I still think he made it a team effort. And
he got input from others. You can see it on the screen. Absolutely. The dynamic between Krakoa and Regina, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great because it's another horror trope, you know, that you got the cops that doing the investigation, but this time Regina's the grizzled vet, and Krakoa is the young guy. She's trying to pull his coat and just, hey, this is what's actually happening. I've been through this before. This is what the deal is. So she might be playing like sassy woman, but at the same time, she's right.
Yeah.
She's not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She's not wrong. The entire movie, she's not wrong. I told you from day one that she is the killer. We got the gloves. We got this. We got that. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. Okay. Now you want to hook up with her sister. Yeah. Okay. Nothing. You know, she's got personality. She's great.
You can handcuff me. Wait, I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, and then she works as a princess at that place because she hasn't been booking jobs, and she shows up in the dress.
So it's to Juan's credit that he got input from so many of these women, because the characters, even though it's kind of the characters are kind of boilerplate horror characters, but the situation is really odd. So people feel good. Personalities.
Sorry to interrupt. Has there been a better, like, when you think about horror siblings? Like, I know Jeepers Creepers has good siblings. Like, I'm trying to think about horror. Like, Scream 3 has a terrible horror sibling, but can you think of a better horror sibling in a horror movie where it's just straight up like adopted ride or die type stuff? It's not.
Man, just off the top of my head, in terms of people, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, because usually one of the brother or the sister dies.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody dies, you know, and that again, that's the trope that they subvert. That the family's alive, actually.
When she goes to that psychiatric hospital, and then the next scene's her watching tapes with her mom, I wanted to run around.
Surprised.
I watched it in a hospital room with Megan, and I just wanted to run around the hospital room, jumping up and down, just like, what just happened? Like, why is she alive? What is happening?
Yeah. That's right. You assume that the person who goes into Castle Wolfenstein ain't coming back out in the middle of the night. Not at all. In the basement of Castle Wolfenstein, just looking for files, like Resident Evil or something.
And then she just comes out. You don't even see her leave. She just gets back in her Prius and gets back home.
No, let's watch some videotapes.
Oh, man. And I want to read something to you, see what you think. I read, this is from the article in Vulture. They're like, intentional artifice abounds in Malignant. When we're first introduced to Madison's sister, Sydney, she's dressed as a fairy princess in a hospital. Birthday party princess is her day job. And one of Gabriel's victims is introduced as a haunted tour guide. Both their jobs are to make pretend and persuade an audience to knowingly buy in for the sake of fun. Juan is signaling to us that this is his job, too, as a horror director. These moments invite us to watch this movie in a similar mode, with a sense of abandon, giving ourselves over to his constructions and not worrying about whether dialogue is, believable or not. Like, it's like not a story that's gonna, like, it's like when you tell somebody this story, it's not supposed to be scary. Like, if I explained Halloween to you, I could make it scary. If I explained, Martyrs, jeez Louise. But you break down Malignant and people go, what?
It's hard to explain the elevator pitch for this movie. What would that be?
Oh yeah, this is definitely not a high concept horror movie. This is a
okay,
Norbert, I'm an executive. You're James Wan. No, you're not James Wan. You're gonna get this movie made, but you have to pitch this to me in an elevator, and I have to leave having a full understanding of it. How do you do it?
Okay, so there's this girl, super nice, sunshine of my life, and turns out, spoiler alert, she's got a demon living inside her, literally, that pops out of the back of her head, kills everybody, and so she has these lucid dreams recalling these horrific bloody murders. It's a bad pitch. It's a bad pitch.
And he throws a chair.
Oh, he throws a chair like an Olympic hammer tosser.
But yeah, it's like, this is not this is not Hard Rain.
No.
There's a theft during a rainstorm. This is not Titanic. A boat sinks. Like,
This
is not Alien. There's an alien on a ship. Explaining this thing is a nightmare.
Evil twin.
But
wow.
Do you feel like, now listen, I understand why people might not like it. Like, let's say you turn this movie on at 4 p.m. during the day, and you got your Roomba on. You're making coffee,
Right. Right.
You you just heard some big juicy news and you're kind of on your
Hmm.
phone a little bit. If
Hmm.
you come in and out of this movie, it's not gonna work. Like you're not.
It won't.
No.
It won't work. Even in the beginning, when you have the tour guide woman, what the hell is this? It doesn't seem to have anything to do with the story.
Yeah.
And then suddenly that person is kidnapped. So you're thinking, okay, so this is one of those Jason type random, I just kill people for fun, Freddy
Hmm.
Krueger fun murder thing. Then you come, oh, that's actually her real mom. Bah, bah, bah. Okay. You need to be paying attention. I had to rewind a couple of times. Who the hell is this woman in the hospital? Why do I care?
Hmm. And like, let's say you go make a sandwich and you come back and it's Gabriel murdering everybody in the prison cell, and you missed 20 minutes of the movie. You're gonna go,
Why? What?
yeah, you're.
Why is?
Yeah, so I think this is a movie that I think you have to really give yourself over to, because if you don't get the camp, you're gonna be like, oh, the adopted scene was so over the top, like it was so over the
Yeah.
top. It's not funny. Like you're just, and that's fine. I'm not trying to mock somebody for doing that. I just think it's a tough sell for Juan, and I understand why this movie made 39 million on a 40 million budget, because this is not like Saw. It's not like a passenger movie, right? You gotta sit
Right.
down and buckle up and watch this
Right.
bad
Right.
boy. And it's
Yeah.
uh but I think if
The
you
elevator.
what's up?
I was going to say the elevator pitch for Saw, two dudes trapped in a room trying to get out before the clock runs out.
Easy breezy. Family Insidious, families haunted by demons.
All of them.
Oh yeah.
All of them.
Oh man, I remember watching Insidious and that red lipstick demon behind him.
The
I
use
uh
of color.
I
The use of color. That was the cool thing about the nun. That white face coming out of the darkness.
oh gosh, man,
Scary as hell.
337 million. And Insidious was just a boo factory. Like it was like a roller coaster on top of a volcano inside a fun house. Like it was just you. It's like you're on a ride and you just go around a corner and someone goes boo, and then you go
Yeah.
around another corner, someone goes boo, and then you go around another corner and there's no boo, and you're like, oh okay. Then you go around another corner, boo, and you're like, whoa. Like it's just a boo factory, and oh man. But yeah, this I'm glad you put this on the list. I'm glad I've got to talk about it 3 times on Movies, Films, and Flicks, because I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
brother.
It's movies like this, Norbert, that like really get me excited. This and Barbarian are probably the two movies that I've watched recently that have just gotten me super excited about movies. They really do,
Mm.
because it shows that you can still take an original IP and you can be somewhat different with it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, man. Like I understand the current state of the box office. You need superhero films. You
Yeah.
need Top Gun Maverick. You gotta have, Smile. That's a very stock boilerplate horror movie, but it's very
Yeah.
simple to absorb. You
Mhm.
can elevator pitch it, and it provides easy viewing for people. But that's important. I watched it. I enjoyed it. But it's
Mm.
it's it's just these two movies, man. It just showed me that you can still be funky in the cinema. Like you can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was great. It was great. And I don't even think that he did it intentionally, but there are so many little homages to things, there's the obviously the Cronenberg body horror,
Oh gosh, yeah.
you know. Another one that I don't even think he was trying, man. In the prison cell, she walks in. She's arrested. She goes into that prison and she looks like somebody that's having a coffee in an Abercrombie and Fitch catalog, and everybody else looks like they are prisoners in a Times Square jail in the late 70s.
Yes.
And you know that once she sits down, somebody's going to mess with her. And I just got an immediate flashback of the Incredible Hulk series with Bill Bixby, because he would just be walking down the street. Hey, jerk, nice bell bottoms. Why don't you shut your face? And he would, please leave me alone. I don't want any problems. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Shut up, jerk. And then they just beat fire out of him. And that's what they did to her. She's just, I just want to be in jail. Can I just be in jail, please? You know?
Scorpion
And
had
they
to
just,
mess with her, Zoe Bell.
dude, tease her, stomp her out, and then the Hulk eyes, and that's it, man. It's Gabriel fighting time.
You get your head smashed, you get your chest punched through. You're done. You get your arm snapped. And
The vibe of Gabriel is a cross between Samara from The Ring and Michael Jackson in his bad outfit, with just all the black leather and just just whipping people's ass with flair.
You know what's nuts? When you said that, I saw it exactly. Like
That's exactly what it is.
That's what you should say in the elevator.
Okay, so I got this movie where this girl hulks out and turns into a cross between Michael Jackson and the chick from The Ring. Just dance fighting people to death.
I would put down my BlackBerry.
It's 2001.
I would whisper into my assistant's ear, because I can't talk to, plebeians. And my assistant would be like, "You got it."
Got it. You got it. Because there's no way that you could not take the clip from the prison where Gabriel is just going ham on these people and just overlay, I'm bad, Shimon, and just and just Gabriel just, oh, look, Gabriel's broken someone. You know it, head snap. You know I'm bad. Through the prison. Kill it. We whole world has to. I'm sorry.
Oh, and Samara just leaves people's faces looking horribly. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's perfect. You got the money, man. And also, all the red. You look back to Italian cinema, like just the amount of red. I mean, just type in, like Italian horror red. I mean, look at Suspiria. Look at the lighting. Look at Argento. I mean, it's just red everywhere. So here, when they kill him by the silver cup, I mean, the amount of red in this movie, and even in the beginning, like you can feel that Italian. In a lot of those Italian movies too, like there is a kind of over the top sense. It's very theatrical. It's about the mood. It's about the vibe. It's about the style. And I think that kind of captures it, but it also sort of blends. It's an interesting film in that it blends, Italian horror, but then I also think it blends slasher horror, and then it kind of. They said it's a genre blender. It takes all of horror and just plops it in a blender, and you get Samara meets Michael Jackson.
100%.
And it's
100%.
And also too, I mean, Annabelle Wallis, I think, was quite, what's the word? She was quite unselfish in this role because she doesn't have anything showy to do in this film. She's just happy she's not an Annabelle again. But it's just watching her do that role, like she just nails it, and it makes me, I don't know. This whole product makes me happy, man. I think that's what James Wan wanted. He just wanted to make people happy. It's a weird movie to make people happy, but I don't know, like you just feel the joy in it, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does. It definitely does. The energy of all of the characters, everybody, these people are acting to the point almost of overacting.
Yeah, I'm adopted.
She's just screaming. Oh boy, are you okay? Are you okay? Would you tell us? I'm sorry.
And like Maddie Hassan reading that dialogue though, just going, he killed your babies, he was causing your miscarriages, he was feeding off your fetuses to build them back up. Like that's
very specific.
That's trust in a director when you're under a table being smashed and then you yell that out. And also too, Maddie Hassan, like I didn't know this was her, but she's in a movie called We Summon the Darkness with Alexandria Daddario. And I don't want to kind of wreck anything about that one, but it's really Maddie. She's a good actor because in We Summon the Darkness, she's the kind of like firebolt of the group, if that makes sense, the loose cannon. And then this one, she's just a chill sister who drives.
I love her vibe.
Yeah, she's good.
I love her vibe. Yeah. She like you say, she will never let you down. She's never going to give you up. You know what I'm saying? She's never going to run around. She's never going to run around and desert you, man. That's it. It's the truth, though.
And she brings you casserole. She climbs up to the second floor of your house, gets in a locked window for a jump scare, and then's like, I have casserole downstairs. You want some?
I would have pushed her right back out that window and said, you bring me another casserole, I'm going to push you out a higher window.
You're not a casserole guy?
Casserole is unacceptable. You know what? You either learn how to make leftovers properly or you throw them away. Don't give me this casserole nonsense. I'm Norbert Mormon.
90% noodles, 10% sauce.
The horror that is Hamburger Helper. You kids didn't grow up in the 80s, did you? Good God.
I feel like those dinners used to just be, there's a box, right? You start some water and you just plop it all in that water and you hope something happens.
The secret ingredient is salt. Unacceptable. No casserole. Thank you.
Oh, man. But this, I don't know. And I wish I had more to say than I just love this movie, but
that's what you do, bro. You got it.
I just, this, like they found just the people who, like Marina, she was a contortionist And so she could walk backwards. And you watch the making of this, and you can see them walking backwards to do this. And it's just, I wish I could have been a fly on this set, like a fly in the wall watching this, because
It's unsettling. The movements are unsettling. Once you start to notice the movement, that's when the movie becomes just very disturbing. What is this thing? Because it's clearly not human anymore, but it is. Oh man.
just, I don't know. It makes me happy. And I wish I had more to say than it makes me happy. And
Oh, it's all good.
I've already talked about this movie 3 times, and I'm glad you kind of said that the blood kind of pulls it. And yeah, I mean this.
I just have questions, man. That's all.
Yeah.
I just have simple questions. Okay. So the husband, what's the husband's name? I forget his name. It doesn't matter.
Abusive
He's a terrible
guy.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So abusive husband. All right.
Derek.
Abusive husband. Derek. He's sleeping on the couch because he's again spousally abused again. But he gets to sleep on the couch, and oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, because it looked like he punched her in the stomach, but he actually just mashed her head against the wall to the point of breaking the wall.
I didn't mean
So
to
he
do
goes
that.
down. Yeah, I didn't mean to do it like that. Anyway, I'm sleeping on the couch.
I'll get you some ice. I'll get you some ice.
Yeah, here's some ice, and shut the hell up. So, how many times I have to watch my children die inside of you? It's just this kind of guy. He goes on the couch, and then the blender comes on. Difficult to turn on the blender and not see a human. The fridge door is open. Not something that fridge doors do by themselves, not even in a smart home. Then the TV is on, and you see someone on the couch. When do you leave, Hoffmeyer? When do you walk out of the house? Because he clearly doesn't care about his wife. He wants to go. You know, they kind of give a little bit of backstory that their marriage, it hasn't been the greatest even before he starts beating the life out of her. You know, so he clearly doesn't care. When do you leave?
So I'm Derek.
You're Derek.
I'm out that door.
The blender is turned on. The fridge door has opened. The TV is on. You see a black figure sitting on the chair. It's clearly not your wife. At what point would you leave? Because for me, I would say honestly, probably after the fridge door. I'm outside.
Because that's not opening itself.
No.
Right? That's just run. Just run.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I was younger, I went home and the door was open, and nobody answered it. Like nobody. I was like, "Hey, is anybody home?" No one did. I just went. I was like, "I'm out."
Spider sense tingling.
I was like,
"It's time to go."
I was like, "Hey, is anybody in here?" Like, guys. Nobody. And I just walked across the street. Like I was like, "I'm not."
Exactly, because the police in this town, not the greatest investigators in the world.
No.
But there's a home invasion, and the level of police presence after this home invasion is not unlike post-terrorist attack. Just all the cops are there, all of them. So they clearly show up. This is not the 911 that Flavor Flav was talking about, and 911 is a joke. The cops will come.
Mm-hmm.
They come in force, After they arrest her, again, all the police are there.
Cheap lighting for James Wan.
The cops show up. They're flashing the berries. I saw a fire truck. Like, what? Everyone's there. So you could call the cop.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying when the fridge door is open, you say, you know what? Deuces.
Because you clearly don't care that much about your wife. You
don't.
You're out. You're done. Because, listen, a blender's not going to turn itself on. It's just, and a fridge door? No. Not modern fridges.
I don't think that it would be out of bounds for me to say that blender technology has not progressed since the early 20th century.
Yeah.
Blenders do you got to press that button hard as hell to get that blender to go.
Man, yeah, if I hear my blender on downstairs, I'm just going to run into Mallory's room, grab her, come back into my room, and lock it. I'm not going downstairs. Because anybody who comes into your house and puts on your blender, they're messing with you.
They are trying the minimum. It's a distraction. Yeah. We learned that from Metal Gear Solid. You set up distractions.
Why are you messing with me? Because you were home.
Okay, listen, I'm out. You can have this house. You can have this house. Norbert, where are you? I woke up and you were gone. Yeah, so somebody turned on the blender, and I left. I'm glad that you're okay, but not really, because I'm a spousal abuser. But so somebody turned on the blender, and then the fridge door opened, and I was like, you know what? I'm good. Let me go to Denny's. It's Seattle. I'm sure there's a Starbucks open.
Yeah, I'm plowing that door. I'm leaving a Kool-Aid man sized hole in the door.
Oh yeah, bang. Oh yeah, I'm out. Okay.
Oh, Derek.
I just want to clear that up.
But I think Derek is such like an abusive, toxic faux man MMA fighter that if someone's in his house, he's gonna swell up.
Oh yeah.
Like you know, what are those creatures that swell up to like he's gonna peacock and he is gonna try to get this person out of his house because he's the man and no
You in
one
the
messes.
wrong house. I'm gonna armbar you.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you're gonna turn on my blender? Rear naked choke time.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh God. Hey, don't move. Let me single leg takedown you, and then.
Yeah, you might be a ghost, but look, crane kick from Karate Kid. Oh yeah, I'm that guy.
Don't mess with me. I've watched Rocky 4 10 times.
10 times. 10 times.
Gabriel, what a mon. And Gabriel's a jerk too because Gabriel just doesn't kill people. Gabriel opens doors, gets floors wet. Like Gabriel is in it for the game. Gabriel is. Gabriel enjoys the hunt.
Yeah, he's got that Pennywise gene where he feeds off of fear, or I guess actual children. It's never really clear which.
Do you think Gabriel and Pennywise wouldn't get along? I think I think Gabriel would just hate everything.
What are you doing, Pennywise? I just saw some children and I wanted to play here. Just eat their energy with my electrokinesis.
Just
It's up.
And then Pennywise is like, "You're a little extreme, Gabriel. I'm gonna get out of here."
Dude, you ripped off a baby's arm. You're not cool either.
Yeah, Georgie.
Yeah, ripped off a kid's arm. Okay.
Yeah, Georgie got.
Yeah. Now, then we have Gabriel trying to influence his sister, stab your mom in the belly. Okay.
Yeah.
We're in some dark times with these two creatures here. They probably have a beer and just reminisce. Remember when I bashed that chick's head in, and then with an award that she won, and then turned it into a knife and totally stabbed this guy in the face. Oh, that's nothing. I've been driving people to commit suicide for decades.
Read these papers. You know, Dick Halloran. Remember? Dick Halloran got involved with that. I just had to do a thing about
he was in The Shining.
And then, you know, he was the connector. You know, he's the connector between Nosferatu.
That's right.
He's Joe Hill's books. Dick Halloran is mentioned too, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The Joe
He's
Hill Stephen King
blood.
universe.
Yeah, he got his father's blood.
But well, thank you. Do you have any more questions about this movie? Do you need anything else we need to touch?
Look, man, I said it before, and I'm gonna say it one more time. If you wake up and your head is bleeding, go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Don't just go about your day, because here's a fun fact. Your head's not supposed to bleed while you're asleep. Just say it. If Emily goes to a doctor, this movie doesn't happen.
Yeah, because they're gonna. Wait a second. Imagine being a doctor. Oh, I'm just looking at the back of it. What are you doing later? I'm gonna play some golf. And oh my gosh.
Yeah, right. Because somebody listening to the podcast will say, "Well, Norbert, that head wound keeps closing up." Yeah, but there's gonna be something there.
Yeah.
Okay, and she's not Wolverine.
Bone doesn't heal. Well, would an X-ray pick him up?
It's not to say that even the X-ray would pick him up, though it's likely, because there was a whole goddamn face in her brain, man. There's a whole face in the back of her head. There's going to be this massive scar at minimum because they jacked her up. They did that surgery in the 90s, right? It was the 90s or the 80s?
Well, yeah, 90s. Remember, it was like 93 when they showed the clips.
That woman is covered in scars.
Yeah.
Back at bare minimum. Okay. And so when she says, "Hi, doctor, what seems to be the trouble, Madison?" Well, I woke up and there was blood all over my pillow.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Let's check you out. Movie over. Movie over.
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly.
It's an anthology series, and it's just people doing. There should be a horror anthology of people just doing, like, it's 5 movies and people just do the reasonable thing for each episode. But that's, once again, that's why I like James Wan's world, because
right.
Insidious, right? You have a family who moves and the demon still chases them. In The Conjuring, it's good people helping other people. Like, they're, you know, I don't know much about the Warrens, but in that lore, the Warrens are good people who just go help other good people. So in this one, it's not really her fault. It's no one's fault. It's just
it's not her fault.
It's not the doctor's fault. It's not anybody's fault. And you know, she's probably been in this abusive relationship for so long. A lot of women won't go to the hospital.
That's another
of that.
Right.
And
that's a good point.
But like, it's not her fault. No one's fault. Like, it's sort of refreshing watching that movie where, you know, it's not 2 jerks who go do something and then they get killed. Like, it's nice just having an ultimate evil killing people, and I dig that. But
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, so
There it is.
where can people find you, Norbert? Just
Norbert
look online.
Morvan.
Wait, just look online. Type in Norbert Morvan.
Literally, this movie has taught us that if you just type Norbert Morvan in there, you're going to find out my home address, my likes, my dislikes, some racy movies that I did because I had to pay the bills in college. All of that stuff is there. Norbert Morvan, SoundCloud, Eddie Kane, Twitter. Check me out.
So, oh man, so I think we're doing Judas and the Black Messiah next, and then yeah, but this is good. I like our series. We've done Nobody, we've done Godzilla vs Kong, all the Pitch Black movies.
All of them.
That was a fun series.
Yeah, man.
This was good. But thank you so much for joining me, Norbert.
Bless you, buddy. You keep taking it easy out there.
And hey, y'all, do me a favor. If you have Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us, please just give us a rate and a review and a subscription, like a subscribe to us. Because no matter where we're at, the more subscriptions, the more reviews we have, that boosts us up further in the rankings. I know a lot of people say this, but it does help. And so our audience is growing. We have an amazing audience. I love y'all. But if you're ever bored, if you're ever stuck in a line somewhere and you're like, oh, I haven't rated this podcast yet, just go drop some stars on it, write a review. That'd be awesome. I never asked for
There
this.
it is, man.
So
there it is. We got to fight the algorithm, folks.
Yeah, it's true. Just keep bumping us up there. We're slowly taking over the film history world. So,
one podcast to rule them all. That's this one, baby.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Norbert.
Much love to you, brother.
All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Norbert Morvan, this is Movie Sons of Flicks. We'll see you next week.